Hey, it's Faith, and welcome to Popping the Tab, the show where I crack open all of life's juicy little details. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Popping the Tab. Thank you all so much for the love and support you've shown the podcast so far. I've been listening to podcasts for years. I'm absolutely obsessed with them, and having my own show is something that I've wanted to pursue for a really long time. So knowing that there are actually people listening is incredibly gratifying. I hope that you're having a great Monday, a great start to your week, or just a great whatever day it is when you're actually listening to this episode. And today's episode is about something that I struggle with daily and have a hard time coping with: slumps. I frequently find myself stuck in a slump with no clue how to get out. And if you feel the same, then I'm hopeful that today's episode will help you out as well. So let's crack open our bevs. Today, I'm actually just going to be drinking some water because I'm feeling a little bit dehydrated. And I think it's so important that we listen to our minds and our bodies. And mine's telling me to hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. Now, let's stop talking about my constant state of dehydration and just get started. If you have periods in time when you just feel unmotivated, stuck, or even lost, then chances are you might be in a slump. It's okay, believe me, I feel all of these things and more almost daily. It's definitely nothing to be ashamed of. But I don't want to sugarcoat it. Slumps can feel pretty heavy. Whether it's a creative block, a lull in your fitness routine, or just a general sense of not caring about life, it can be tough to navigate. But don't worry, by the end of this episode, I'll share some practical tips that, if they work, can help you pull yourself out of that slump and back into your daily groove. Let's start by talking about what a slump really is. You might have heard the saying, "Oh, don't worry, you're just in a funk." Well, a slump is kind of like that. It's a state where you feel unproductive, unmotivated, or just plain uninspired. And the tricky part, it can happen to anyone at any time for any reason, really. So if you're feeling this way right now, you're definitely not alone. Why do slumps even happen in the first place? I mean, there are actually kind of a lot of reasons. Sometimes it could be burnout from overworking, and other times it might just be life changes, like moving to a new city, starting a new job, or even something as simple as the changing of the seasons. I mean, now that it's starting to get colder and we're starting to get closer to winter, you might actually start noticing that you're in a slump more often. And we definitely can't forget about those pesky, annoying mental health days where everything feels just a little bit heavier than usual. And those can really be the worst. So now that we know what a slump is and why it can happen, let's take a quick break before we get in to how to pull yourself out. Welcome back to Popping the Tab. I hope you had a nice little break. Now let's get into some tips and tricks for combating slumps. Tip number 1, acknowledge your feelings. It's totally okay to feel down or unmotivated. You're human. Recognizing that you're in a slump is the first step to overcoming it. Give yourself permission to feel what you're feeling and don't beat yourself up about it. If I'm feeling down or unmotivated, I like to give myself one day to really feel everything, take a break, and then I'll reassess and start to try to be more productive. If you keep brushing off your feelings, then you're going to be stuck in an endless cycle of slumps. And trust me, nobody wants that unless you're some crazy masochist who lives off of pain. And I don't know that that's any of you. Tip number 2, set small goals. When you're in a slump, the thought of tackling a big project can feel overwhelming. Instead, break it down into smaller, more manageable tasks. Maybe you want to write a book. Instead of focusing on that really, really big end goal, Aim to write just 1 to 2 paragraphs a day. Or on a smaller scale, if your room is a mess, start cleaning one thing at a time. Maybe today you only took your trash out, but you still have laundry to do or dishes to wash. It's okay to space these tasks out. Do things on your own schedule. But celebrate those small wins because they're going to help build your momentum, and that's only going to lead to you having more motivation in the future. Next up is tip number 3, change your environment. Believe me, sometimes a change of scenery can do wonders for your mindset. If you usually work from home, try heading to a cafe or a park or your local library. If you're feeling sluggish in your room, get out of it. Sometimes, if I just need to get out of my room for a few minutes, I'll go take a little drive around campus, play some Taylor Swift, sing at the top of my lungs, and feel the nice, cool, fresh air. Or you could always redecorate your room, add a few plants, rearrange some furniture, and create a nice, new, fresh vibe that's making you feel so productive. Sometimes spending too much on my college campus can put me in a major funk. So every once in a while, I'll go a couple of towns over to Panera and get the You Pick 2 special with a half chicken Caesar salad, French onion soup, and a baguette, of course. And then I'll sit there for literal hours reading, studying, doing my homework, or even scrolling on my phone. And I promise, little changes, such as simple as sitting in a restaurant for a few hours, can really spark new energy in you. Tip number 4, reach out for support. Similar to last week, don't hesitate to lean on your friends, family, or even a therapist. If you feel like you're always in a slump, then that may be an indicator of depression or anxiety, but I'm not a professional. I just know that a therapist can definitely assist with that. Talking about what you're going through can provide a fresh perspective and a sense of connection. You'd be really surprised how many people have been in a similar place and can offer valuable advice or just a sympathetic ear. And here's a fun one. Tip number 5, get moving, which I should probably do more of. Physical activity can be a game changer. I know sometimes when you're in a slump, all you want to do is rot in your bed, but honestly, this only makes it worse. I mean, it's just like the great Elwood says, exercise makes endorphins. You don't have to do anything crazy. Take a short walk with your friends, gossip, talk about your days. That can boost your mood and help clear your mind. And if you can, try incorporating some movement into your day. Dance around your living room. Personally, I've been having plenty of dance parties in my dorm to Sabrina Carpenter's newest album, and I think that Good Graces is my favorite one to have a choreographed routine to. You should try it, I recommend. Do some yoga, go for a run. It doesn't have to be anything big, but just get your body moving and you're going to feel 10 times better. Tip number 6, practice mindfulness. This can include meditation, journaling, or simply taking a few deep breaths to center yourself. Admittedly, I'm not very good at this, and I'm sure my mom is listening while rolling her eyes because she always tells me to meditate and journal and I'll probably feel better. And maybe she's right. I mean, mindfulness helps you reconnect with the present moment and can reduce feelings of overwhelm. There are tons of apps out there to help you get started if you're new to this. I'm really bad at journaling and writing my feelings down, so I just found an app that acts as a video journal so I can talk my feelings out. But you could even use your voice memos or your camera for this. Moral of the story, have some way to center yourself and talk to yourself about your feelings. And finally, tip number 7, be patient with yourself. Remember, slumps are a part of life. They can be frustrating, but they're also temporary. Allow yourself the time you need to find your way back and don't rush the process. Progress isn't always linear, and that's totally okay. Sometimes we have to feel the really hard and heavy stuff in order to feel the great stuff. I promise there are brighter days coming. So to wrap up today's episode, remember that slumps are normal and you're not alone in feeling this way. Acknowledge your feelings, set small goals, change your environment, reach out for support, get moving, practice mindfulness, and most importantly, be patient with yourself. I hope you found these tips helpful. And if you're currently in a slump, I encourage you to try out one or two of these strategies and see how they work for you. Thank you for tuning in to Popping the Tab. If you enjoyed today's episode, please share it with a friend or leave us a review. And of course, I'd love to hear your thoughts on slumps, tips on getting out of them, and what you'd like to talk about next week. You can reach out to me on poppingthetab_pod on Instagram or drop a comment. Until next time, keep living, thriving, and being your best selves. Cheers!
Huh!